How you doing there?
Pretty good. How are you, Gary?
Were you born in Queens or?
I was, yes. I'm born in Flushing, Queens, Flushing Hospital, just a few blocks from here.
And you grew up living in Corona the first part of your life?
Actually, I lived on Ash Avenue, not very far from here, for a few years, and then I moved to Corona when I was 4.
Then you went to Corona.
And then I moved to Flushing, Fresh Meadows when I was 8.
And came back to the Flushing area here. Okay, so you're basically a native of Queens all your life there.
Pretty much, yeah.
Just like myself, grew up in Rosedale, Queens, over by Kennedy Airport, right on the borderline of Valley Stream.
Right.
And been living here all my life,
Cool.
Born here, living here, and like I said, if all goes well, I want to die here. So we're
Me
going
too.
to hope
Same
for the
thing.
best here. We'll see what happens here. So you are a novelist.
Exactly.
You've written 2 books now. Which one do you want to talk about first here?
We could talk about Brotherhood because actually this is the first book in a crime trilogy. A second edition of this book is coming out later this year, and then the 2 sequels are going to be published right after that. It's funny you were talking about the Untouchables and gangsters and stuff because that's like what this book is about, basically.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it has a lot of Indian Hindu stuff in it, but this book particularly is set in Queens mostly.
Okay.
And the other 2 books are both set in Queens and also internationally in India and Thailand and the American South. And so it goes to a lot of places, but it has lots of action, mystery, suspense.
Really? And now is this about they're Indian or what are they?
Well, a lot of the characters are Indian, but not all. There are white characters, there are African American characters.
But is it like about an Indian mafia? Is there an Indian mafia? I don't even know. Is there? I don't know.
It's actually, well, there is in India, definitely. Here there isn't as much, but it's basically about this Hindu organization that becomes involved in this kind of greater criminal enterprise. So it's a religious organization that the main character, who's a private investigator, is involved in, and he investigates a murder, or at least he's not sure if it's a murder or a suicide of a college student who's a childhood friend of his. And as he does this, that's when he kind of gets involved in his criminal element. He investigates a financier who's the boyfriend of the person who died. He investigates a Hindu religious fanatic, and through this he kind of gets involved in a greater criminal conspiracy, basically, that involves other ethnic groups, Italians, Koreans, and others.
Okay, and this takes place where?
It takes place in Queens.
So all it takes place in Queens. Okay.
Some of it takes place in Manhattan and in Long Island, but most of it takes place in Queens, in Flushing, Long Island City especially, and different parts of Queens. So actually, going through the book is kind of like taking a tour of Queens because there are so many neighborhoods that are represented.
Right.
Middle Village, Jackson Heights, others. Not only am I from Queens, but I'm also a librarian at Queens Library, and so I've worked in a lot of these neighborhoods.
Really?
Yep.
You're a librarian, so let me ask, so can this book be found in the library?
Yes, you can find it at the Queens Library.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah, all libraries in Queens?
Not all, but certainly if some of the branches don't have it, you can request it from a different branch, and it'll be there probably in a week, and you can read it.
Wait, now how does someone know, all right, again, how does someone know to look for this book? I mean, how would they know? I mean, I'd never heard of it, didn't know anything about it. How would someone know to
Really, they would have to. They can look up crime books, or really, they would have to know me as an author. You can Google me. I have a Google listing. I have lots of websites. I have a large social media presence.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
So is this like a self-published book?
It is. It's published through my own company. It's called The New Way.
Right.
And both books are published through that company, as will the sequels.
Okay, this is like a real book, man. This is like I'm looking.
It's a real book.
This is always impressive to me. That somebody can just sit there and knock out. What you get? 200, and do you know how many pages you have?
This one is about 250. The sequels are much longer, actually.
Yes, 250 when you have about the author of it. Yeah, wow. This is like a real book here. There's like a lot of pages. There's real stuff here. And now, so self-published. The only way to hear it, is there a way to get this out more to the rest of the country? How would you do this? I mean, other than this show, but other than that, how else would you get this out to other people?
Well, I have a large social media presence on Facebook and other social media sites. So I actually have, if you count all my pages, I have about 20,000 followers. So I can when I send out my messages and stuff, people do see it. people on Amazon see it certainly. There's a way to advertise it on there. And so really, it's kind of the nexus between Amazon, Facebook, and Google. If you know how to master these things, is actually a pretty good way of spreading your message and letting people know about your books.
Okay, now, is there any way you can get this to an actual publisher to do? How does that work? I mean, I don't know the process.
I mean, when I was first writing and building these books, when I was getting an MFA, I actually worked in the publishing industry for 3 years right out of college.
Really? So I would think you'd have the ins and outs of that. How to
Yeah,
go
but
about that,
I
no?
kind of found that a lot of it was just luck. I just found it wasn't a very efficient way of going about things. Of course, if the book is published by a major publisher, people will know about it more readily. But the likelihood of getting published, especially when you're setting a book in Queens, for example,
Right,
or
yeah.
writing about certain things, or writing provocative things, it's actually less likely that you will find a publisher.
Really?
It's kind of strange, right? You would think it would be the other way around.
I'm thinking like, I don't know, Daniel Steele, all these other
Right.
books.
Yeah,
Those are
but Daniel
provocative
Steele. I
books.
mean, if you read Daniel Steele, it's pretty bland stuff. At least, it's not like thoughtful.
Yeah, but it's a name I know of
Yeah, that's
because of
true.
all the
Yeah.
books that have been
You're
sold
right.
and movies been made about it and all that stuff there. Okay, so who are these people I'm looking at here? Who's
These are actually paid actors.
Really?
When I was planning to self-publish this, after I was frustrated by my experiences in the publishing industry, with the publishing industry and agents, I decided to make a book trailer. So I hired these actors. I actually had auditions in my basement in Flushing, and I had these actors, and I actually made a film trailer that advertising this book. And with that, I made this cover of the book as well.
I've seen that on TV too, where to promote a book, they'll show a little clip or something of it. I guess what you did then, yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
Now, is that you on the back?
That is me on the back.
That
yes,
is. That
that's
does
right.
not look like you now. I mean, it's a different look. This is.
I had a beard back
You have
then.
the beard
yes,
there,
true.
no glasses. You got kind of like that mob look. That
was the point, yeah.
The black shirt, the white tie here. I don't know if you can see that there. You probably can. It's kind of small there. Is anybody working back there? Let me know. Are they getting a snack? Where'd they go? All right, yeah, take your time. Whatever time you want to take it. Can you get that picture? I don't even know. Can you? Is that too small to zoom in on?
You're asking for too much for a sandwich.
Yeah, I understand here. I understand. That's my agent back there talking. There you go. That's my agent. Anyway, okay, that's just kind of interesting. So these are paid actors. Yeah, there you go. Okay, that's him there. This is the same guy I'm talking. This is him. Doesn't quite look like him, but it's kind of interesting there. How long ago did you write this?
How long ago?
Yeah.
Well, the finished version, that one was published in 2012. I actually wrote it over a period of years, though. It was rewritten over 20 times. It was longer, it was shorter. I was changing plots and characters. I was really learning my craft at the time.
So how long was the actual process then? It took you a year, 2 years, 5 years?
5 years about.
5 years. What kind of research did you pid into that, or did you?
I did, yeah. I researched.
Did you interview the Indian mob or any mobs that are in? Did you actually, or did you interview any private investigators? I mean, how did you,
I
to make it
definitely
seem
looked
real?
it up. I didn't interview an actual investigator, but I did go to stores where private investigators would go to get stuff, and I talked to people there about it.
Store?
Yeah, like there's actually stores in Queens, in
like spy
Jamaica.
stores, like the spy.
Yeah, no, seriously.
Really?
I'm not
Is
kidding.
that
I'm not making this up. There are actually
Really?
spy stores where you can,
Okay.
for example, if you suspect your significant other of cheating, for
Right,
example,
yeah,
you could
yeah.
actually get stuff to like spy on them.
Why not? You get like a
At the
little
store,
camera
yeah.
inside a clock or something,
Yeah, basically,
or
yeah.
pencil sharpener, things like that.
I'm sure
So-
they actually sell these kinds of things.
So you went to those stores and interviewed the people who worked there. Okay.
And some of the things that are in the book that are crime related were actually stuff that I kind of grew up with. Friends I knew, or mainly people I knew, but also people who told me about things. So a lot of that is actually in the book as well. I'm not saying it's directly, but it's inspired by a lot of real life things.
You know,
as
I mean,
well,
even to
yeah.
learn about like the shady under dealings and stuff like that. I mean, did you talk to anybody in that business? I mean, like, who's willing to talk to you and not, you know. Not
Yeah,
have
but
you
I'd rather
whack
not mention that
Yeah,
stuff.
no, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what kind of research goes into something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, I
or,
mean, I did.
or how dangerous
yeah.
it can be there. You know, I mean, you know.
Yeah,
it's-
that's
it's,
true. It's, you know, but life is dangerous.
Did
and
they
you gotta
pat you
live.
down before you talked to them? Did you get patted down? No, yeah, I don't know. Sure you're not
Somewhat,
wearing a
yeah.
wire? I don't know. No, I don't know. I think, you know, if I'm a guy doing like, you know,
Yeah, sure. I mean, these
illegal
people are,
things,
these
yeah, I'm not
people,
just gonna.
these people are cautious, you know.
Yeah, I would think they should be. But what do I know? It's a blindfold you, take you to some place, and then, I don't know how that works there. I don't know how much, you know, how much you had to put into this here. So it sounds like it could be kind of a dangerous.
Gotta leave on the wild side sometimes, you know.
Now, did I mishear you? Did you say this is like there's a trilogy?
Yeah, right. So this is a 3-book novel series. So this is actually the shortest book in the series. It's a page-turning mystery thriller, and the other 2 books also compelling as hell, but they're a little longer and they're a little bit more complex.
And they're already written. They're done. They're not
Oh,
coming out. They're already
written,
done.
Yeah, and they're ready to come out.
So what it was called? This was called The Brotherhood.
This is
The
called
other
The Brotherhood. The second one is called The Run and Hide, and the third one is called The Dance Towards Death.
And who's the main guy in here?
So the main character is Nero Selinki. He's a He's actually a failed writer who kind of falls into the private investigating game because his father, he basically wants to redeem himself from like a life of sin. Basically, you know, he's been living in Brooklyn, you know, doing a lot of pot and cocaine and stuff like that. And he's
Okay.
like, oh, I really need to redeem myself.
Did you do a lot of
So-
research for that too? Personal research? How do you? Again.
Let's say I've known people who've done these
Okay,
things. You know?
gotcha.
And and so he moves back home to Queens, and his father is actually a retired cop, and he puts him in touch with his friend, who's also a retired cop, who's now a private investigator. So he starts working for this private investigator, basically investigating wealthy adulterers and the spouses who want to catch them, and,
Okay.
you know, take half their resources. And through that, he actually becomes involved in this case, which brings him back to his family and stuff like that. So,
Okay. And the name is Nero Selinki?
right, yes.
Where'd you get the name from? How'd you get
It's an Indian name.
Really?
Hmm.
So I'm hearing Selinki. I'm thinking, I guess sort of, but not quite. I'm thinking, I don't know, Polish or I don't know, Selinki. Maybe I'm thinking Selinsky, maybe, or something like that. That
Yeah,
would be
it could be. I guess it could be.
But Selinki is an Indian name.
It's an Indian name. It's actually, you know how, I don't know if you know that much about Indian culture, but there's a caste system in India, right? So Solanki is actually a Kshatriya name, which is like the warrior caste. So I deliberately picked that because Nero is kind of like this cross between a Brahmin who's like a priest or an educator and a warrior. And so this is this kind of intellectual component kind of wedded with this this kind of action warrior that's within the same person. And so I wanted to play with that as well. That's why I picked the name.
Okay, other than the name Nero, which was, I think, the Roman guy who was supposed to have fiddled while Rome burned.
It's actually Nero, N-I-R-A-L.
Oh, Nero. I'm
but,
hearing Nero.
yeah.
Okay, Nero.
Right.
I was thinking that. And who's Nero Wolf? I've heard the name Nero Wolf. Was that a private investigator?
I haven't heard of that person.
Anybody-
too.
anybody ever
I
hear
don't
that
know if
name,
it's a
Nero
character or
Wolf?
not. I don't know.
No?
I've heard of that character. I think it's a character. It might be a character in the
Nero
book.
Wolf,
I'm not
right?
sure. Yeah.
Yeah. But this is Nero.
Nero, right?
Nero Wolf.
N-I-R-A-L.
Another name I never heard of, but I mean, it just is like, you know, all right. Now, is this book translated to other languages?
Not yet, but we'll see. You know, we'll see if we. There actually have been people who come into the library who know I'm an author of this book and have asked me, when are you going to translate this into Hindi or Urdu or something else? You
Right,
know,
yeah.
but so far it hasn't been, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. You know.
All right. Now, have you ever gone to these, I don't know, I got a friend of mine. He's trying to get like a, what is it, a book. He's looking to get his book published, like a young adult or whatever, YA.
Right.
Because even something is coming up in February. It's every February. They have it over at the Marriott or something like that.
Yeah.
I guess where people want to get their books looked at or published or reviewed by other people. I mean,
Right.
maybe they're younger ones. I don't know if there's. You ever gone to anything like that to try?
I've gone to boatloads of conferences. I've actually presented my own books at Book Expo, at ADWP conference, which is the biggest literary conference in North America. I found success in terms of selling and getting my name out there. But at the end of the day, I think it's better actually to work online of getting an audience that way.
Right, but you had any experts look it over? You know, so-called experts who know this
Yeah.
stuff and tell you, what's wrong with it, or what's good about it, or what you could add or take away? Have you ever gone for consultation on that?
Yeah, I mean, early on I was trying to get agents and stuff.
I guess I might be
you
called
know.
an editor. I don't even know. Maybe editors do. I don't even know who does stuff like that.
Yeah, well, you know, there are later agents who you can go directly to editors as well. But they all, you know, they all say something different, or they might even say, oh, this is a great book, great written, but I can't sell it, or, you know, whatever it is. So at the end of the day, everyone's got an opinion, or maybe they won't even tell the truth a lot of the time, you know?
Well, yeah, a lot of times, yeah, people have different ideas of what should be in the book. It's almost like comedy or anything else. You know, some
Right.
people like this kind of comedy, some people like that kind of comedy. Not everybody agrees on what's comedy or not. Same thing, what should be a good mystery or not, or whatever there. So you are looking for a literary agent?
I'm not looking for
You're
one
not
right
even
now.
looking for one. Not even
I
looking
mean, I've sent some queries out just to see what would happen, kind of. But it's the same stuff over and over again, you know, just blanket rejections or whatever.
Right.
And it's just kind of pointless. To me, in my opinion, at this stage, I just find it a waste of time.
Right.
I'd rather focus on building my works and my movement and my company. And, you know, even if I fail, at least it's honest, at least it's straightforward. But I do believe that I will be successful in the long run.
Right. And there's a saying, failure means at least you tried.
I've
That's what I heard. I don't know. That's,
gotten a fortune cookie actually that says
These are-
failure
there
is
you
the
go.
mother of success.
There you go.
So, you know.
so I get all my words of wisdom. They keep cracking open those cookies. Oh, that's a good one. There you go. I'll live by that one there. Yes, yes. Hey, let me ask you this. With this book here, have you thought of writing a screenplay for it?
Well, the book is very kind of screenplay-like, I've been told. You know, it's rich in dialogue
Right.
and very good in terms of its structure. Yeah, but you know, again, a screenplay is even more difficult to sell than a book and a novel in terms of getting it made into a movie. And so, you know, when I was younger, actually, screenwriting was the main thing that I was looking to do.
Right.
And I was actually, and even for a bit, I worked for an independent filmmaker, a friend of mine. But you know, we'll see. You know, if Hollywood comes calling, or you know.
Could you make this into a web series? I'm just thinking of other
That's
ways you
possible,
could maybe get
yeah.
this word out here on and stuff,
Yeah,
something small,
sure,
and then it goes back. I
sure,
mean, I don't
sure.
even know. I mean, I'm just thinking.
I
of
mean,
ways
you know, I have a blog where I've written about the characters and stuff, and I'll probably have some teasers out there and stuff. It's just about getting more people to be invested in and you know and interested in the series. But it's a crime series. You know, the plot is fascinating. The settings are great. It's a very vivid series, so there's a lot to love, and I do think that I'm going to build that audience over the long term.
Okay, so this could be like the next James Bond or something here, right? This
Maybe.
guy. Here? I mean.